Welcome back, everybody. The History Guy here. This is episode 3, playing on the Black Ice mod for Hearts of Iron 4 as the Empire of Japan. My very first time ever playing through as the Empire of Japan in World War II. And if you did not see the first 2 episodes, there's a link in the description below that'll take you back to episode 1. We are into 1939, and we are slowly making our way in a conquest of China. Things are going okay, but man, it's just it's a tough nut to crack. Supplies are just a huge problem for me, and that's really the main thing that's holding me back. The armies are pretty well even, but what I'm currently doing is we're pushing down through this way because supplies seem to be better over here. They seem to be flowing better, so we're kind of making our way through, and then we're going to kind of swing around and see if we can't maybe trap a bunch of the Chinese divisions and cut them off and destroy them that way. So that's kind of the plan right now. We've got a bunch of naval battle results happening. We've been sinking a ton of his transports. Hopefully that chokes his army and cuts them off from supply and resources. In the meantime, I've run out of oil, so we're going to have to go in and do some things to make some trades to get the additional oil that I need. Looks like we sank 12 more transports there. So I've currently got 2 fleets operating. I might just have to tell one of them to stand down and just go with one for now because we just don't have the fuel for this to happen. So we'll see how the war goes. So this right here is going to be key for me as we're into March of 1939. If I can take this naval base here, I would think that should have to relieve some of my supply issue that I'm dealing with. I'm just desperately trying to figure out ways to get more supplies. My naval bases are maxed out, and they're kind of the main reason why my supplies are all choked off at the moment. So the more I can get supplies flowing, the better my army will go, and the more I'll be able to get moving. We need to increase stability as well. It's back down to 16%, and that's certainly not doing me any favors. And it just looks like, even though I've got 7 divisions on 1, just this issue of supply is just permeating into everything that I'm doing. Let's see if we can get some of these guys to help out with this attack. We're doing well up here, and I'm working on doctrine. You can see that doctrine right there jumped up some of these fights from 70% to about 90%. So those little things are helping. So I'm going to keep on just trying to get all this doctrine filled out. Stormtrooper Assaults got a little picture of a Star Wars Stormtrooper that's kind of funny. So I'm just looking. There's attrition. Some of these things will reduce some of the issues I'm having with attrition. So anything I can do to make it more likely for my troops to win is going to help right now. There, we made a little breakthrough there. It's just slow going. It just feels like it's going to take forever. All right, we've got a new class of carriers available to be built, but honestly, that's not a huge priority right now. But we are caught up now. We're in 1939, and we're going to go after Light Carrier 2. Continue to work on those. Breakthroughs continuing a little bit, kind of pushing through here, and it looks like now you can see, at least for these frontline units, no longer an issue with supply. It looks like we've taken enough territory and overrun some more of these bases that now they're in full supply, and since they're in full supply, they are finally kind of breaking out. Not so much over here, but man, I feel like if I could just take that one naval base there, but maybe we can bring down these units to do that. Japanese bombers performing long-range missions without any escorts due to lack of range have suffered heavy losses over China lately. To solve this problem, we can purchase some 4- and 2-seat fighter aircraft and buy a production license. Sure. Okay, cool. Just can't seem to make it happen over here. But we're coming. Coming from the north now. We've got enough supply there. Everything else is kind of at a standstill until then. Let's take a look at... we've lost almost 30,000 men. Inflicted 72,000 casualties now. Continuing to... German troops have crossed into Bohemia and Moravia. So it looks like World War II is about to be happening. World tensions up to 31% now. And let's take a look at the latest naval battle results. It looks like we sank 5 more transports. I can't believe China's got any transports left at this point. We'll continue to use up every bit of fuel that that I've been trading for. So I'm going to have to up once again what I'm trading for. Well, it looks like there's some other things we can do here as well. So we can trade for a little less rubber from the Dutch East Indies. We're actually getting more steel from the UK than we need at the moment. We can actually go down one more time on this. And instead, let's go get some more oil from the UK. See if that's enough. Yeah, that appears to be enough to keep my tanks, my planes, and my fleet going. So this should be helpful. We've got a war measure here. Unite people under your government. For 45 days, we'll get political power gain, a 2% weekly stability bonus, and a weekly war, although war support's at 100%, so that's not an issue, but it's definitely worth it to spend those points there. I'm just looking to see where else I can possibly do that. Military parade in Tokyo. That doesn't really help a whole lot with anything I need. Coordinate the war effort. Don't defend Japanese borders. Yeah, there's nothing really there. Okay. We're just going to keep on dealing with all of these war doctrines so that I can finally start working on World War II doctrines. And we're getting really close to being able to link up with our forces down here. And once I do that, this gets a whole lot easier, I think. Yeah, let's go ahead and push through here. I'm going to try to connect these guys. Commercial plastics. I don't know what else in terms of industry I really want to focus on right now. Dockyards 1, that doesn't really help a whole lot. And we've got some bonuses we can have here. We can have fuel silos. That might actually be really helpful. We can build synthetic oil refineries. That might be helpful. I think we'll go with the silos first, because then if we do find ourselves no longer at war, we can store up some fuel before we end up at war with, say, the U.S. All right, we're going to break through again over here. Let's keep that going. See if we can make a push through, connect these guys. These ones still have that supply issue, so they're really just not able to do anything at the moment. I want to look at the supply map. So you can see there, full supply down the center, which is why we're having success there. And kind of bad here, and then really bad over there. So we might need to move some of these units over this way, because it looks like we can handle more. Late June 1939, and things are going really, really well now that supply issue's been solved. Everything is going better. We're about to link up our Korean Peninsula force that made the naval invasion over here, and that kind of got stalled because of a lack of supply. Although it looks like they just reinforced that area, but I've started sending units from over here to reinforce this side, so we'll start pushing down there. I've got a bunch of research slots going right now. You can see Civilian Works 1, which will give me that boost to stability. We've got our next nuclear research about to be completed in about 8 months. Direct ground support is another air doctrine. Light Carrier 2, CVL2s are 143 days away. Stormtrooper Assaults will give me a bonus for my infantry, and then the fuel silos. So in the meantime, we're going to continue working on all of these doctrines. You can see here, if you go to World War II Doctrine, it'll tell you what all you still need. I need Stormtrooper, Rolling Barrage, Aircraft Artillery Observers, Telephone Communications, etc. So let's take a look at where some of those things are that we haven't completed yet. Forward Artillery Observers, let's go ahead and do that one. That'll only take 43 days. So we're about to finish fuel storage. Having a little trouble making that last link up here. And it looks like we've got some free dockyards too, so we're going to have to deal with that. I guess we can start building something new. Let's go with one of those carrier 3s for the first time. And I think we'll maybe do 2 of those. Should be ready in 1942. Do I still have free dockyards even after that? Oh, I guess so. I must have completed some other ships. My Navy's going to be huge. I just haven't really needed it so far because mostly I'm fighting a land war. I guess we'll queue up some more heavy cruisers. And now we'll go back to research. We'll go with fuel refining 2. Alright, maybe we just need to get some more units fighting this battle here. Get everybody we can to try and make this last link up happen. Alright, I think we've got our link up. There it is. Let's see if that gets these folks into supply. Not quite yet. Let's take a look at the supply situation. It's kind of rough all the way. That's why things slowed down when we got here. Now, I'm not entirely sure why. It's the ports that are still causing the issue, but still better off than it was. So we've made our link up. We've destroyed. We've got some sabotage happening. That certainly doesn't make things any better, but you can see now that at least we're making some progress. We could actually finish this nation off if we can just take the rest of their territory and then start to move down into mainland China. A long way to go, and we're halfway through 1939 already. But you can see here, we've now caused 113,000 casualties, lost 42,000. So, you know, almost 3 to 1. But again, he's got way more than I do, so that's only one of the factors in all this. So we're going to start focusing on trying to shift my army around, see if we can maybe cut these guys off right here and destroy the rest of these Chinese divisions that are up in there. The Germans and the Soviets have signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. They're getting ready to carve up Poland, and we'll see what happens. It is August of 1939. We'll see if this happens at a historic rate or something other than that. You can see right now, kind of as we pull back, you can see all the way along, at least over in this area, things are going well. And we're just going to keep pushing them. I'm toying with the idea of taking another army and trying to land over by Shanghai, see if we can do the same thing we did before and push up from the south, open up another front that causes him to have to pull resources from this line. I just don't know. But we're going to keep on working on things here. Fuel gain per oil, anything I can do to increase my oil consumption, or reduce my oil consumption and improve how much I'm producing or trading for. And you can see I'm starting to stockpile some now, which is nice. German Reich has declared war on Poland, so they're a couple weeks early. But it's happened. Now we'll see how the dominoes fall. I would expect they will. Gonna keep on working on those doctrines. Let's see what happens with this war. Current wars, here we go. German-Polish war right now anyway. Oh, everybody's in, it would appear. France bans communism. Well then. Non-aggression pact from the Germans? Absolutely. Since you already have one with the Soviets. We're already pushing toward the front lines that I created for these two armies here. Nobody likes the communists. Alright, what's this about? The French want military access? Decline. Let's take a look at the supply. Yeah, it's kind of bad everywhere at the moment. Hopefully we can improve that with time. Oh, what is going on here? The Chinese came and landed behind me? Ah, boy. Alright. Let's go deal with them. Guess we're going to have to send some garrison units to guard the coastline over here. Didn't think China was capable of that with my Navy patrolling the waters. Looks like he's headed that way, so I'm going to have to send a unit down there. There is a naval battle happening here, but again, it was just transports. That's really all I've sunk of his. Lots of leveling up happening for my generals. What in the world? How in the world is he getting units behind me? This is China. I've got a Navy patrolling these waters. Alright, we're going to have to take a look and see what our Navy's up to. And now they're holding position in the Yellow Sea. Well, that's not very helpful. This is the Navy that I've actually got doing the work right now. Let's, instead of convoy raiding, let's get them patrolling these waters. And there's the other half of that domino to fall. The USSR has declared war on the Republic of Poland. It's going really badly for Poland right now. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at how that's kind of shaken out. You can see Poland's lost 268,000 men, only inflicted 15,000 casualties, and they're quickly being overrun. So it's been a good year so far for the fascists as we continue to push our way through into China. We're really kind of starting to make the breakout now. I've got my Navy patrolling these waters. They were on convoy raiding, so they just weren't really worrying about an invasion force, which was really honestly the last thing I thought was actually going to happen there. So we're just kind of gobbling up this territory, and we're getting ready. We're dealing the finishing blow to these couple of Chinese divisions that were operating in my rear. Now we're going to try to encircle some more if we can. We're into September of 1939 now. I've also cut them off right here. Let's look at the war for us. 61,000 total lost, most of them mine. Inflicted twice as many of those as casualties. And we're starting to finally make some progress toward victory. It's going to be a long road, but maybe by the end of 1940 we can be on our way. There's our first victory. Hirohito has announced that the cowardly Shaanxi nation could no longer withstand the pressure from the overwhelming presence of Japanese forces throughout the country. And so we gather up a little bit of equipment, and now we just kind of scoop up what remains of their territory. And that makes my job way easier as I'm able to turn my focus down here into China. Fall of Warsaw. Similar things happening in Europe right now. Poland has capitulated. So it took a month. And so the Soviets and the Germans get to split that country up. They're both doing terrible things right now. We'll see now what happens with the Germans. If I were them, I would do everything I can to avoid war with the Soviets. Just focus on the Allies. But we know Hitler and his bad decision making. So we'll see what happens. Now we got a few more places we got to gobble up some territory here. So I've got a lot of available experience points, especially with the army, but also some with the air. So I'm going to go in and start upgrading some of my fighters and see if I can start turning the tide in the air war. A lot of different ways in which we can do that. Maintenance is obviously huge, but also, where's the range? What do we need to do to add range? Well, air intercept radar would be huge. There's a lot of available options here. Drop tank's going to add to the range. So I'd really like to add the range. That'll be huge. Reliability is pretty good there. So that's a lot of points in maintenance, but also range. I think those two things are going to help. So we're going to start building the version 1 of those, and I'll do what I need to do to start creating some of those. All right, so what's happening is it's not that China is landing troops behind my border. It's these are partisan forces that are rising up in revolt of my occupation. So I've set an occupation force that's on its way over from Japan, and they're going to basically be a garrison force that's going to put down and suppress the resistance in these areas. So I'm not going to worry about it too much for now. I'm going to let those forces get over here and do their jobs. I'll probably send a couple of divisions just to kind of keep it from spreading too much. But let's take a look over at Europe as we get into December of 1939. It appears that Germany has not begun the process of invading in the West yet. They'll probably wait until the 1940, like they did historically for that. We're just continuing to deal with all of these doctrines so we can get into World War II doctrines. I'm working on my naval innovations. We got to deal with expand the Navy first. And let's just look at the actual situation with the war at the moment. Okay, so we all the way up to 82,000 lost now, but he's at 170,000 lost, but he's still got an army that's about half the size of mine. But as long as we keep pushing, things keep going in the right direction. We're gobbling up those resources, which is kind of the main thing that I'm after right now. I've also started building some new air bases so I can get more of an air presence in that area. And you can see that as I gobble up more of these resources in China, I have less and less of a need for trading for things like steel from the UK. So that's going to free up some of my factories. All right. They're getting kind of crazy back here, so let's go deal with that. But you can see my units are coming in from Japan now, so they're going to go in and start dealing with some of that. We are in January of 1940. We've completed a year. That keeps the episode pretty short, but also is a good cutoff point. A lot of progress has been made in the war on China, and it looks like we're continuing to push south. We're going to probably hit Shanghai in the next couple of months. I don't know where that'll put us in terms of victory points. There's obviously a lot of territory still to be taken, but we're still doing good. I've only got about 1 million men in the manpower, but there's a lot I can still do to up my manpower through decisions that can be made. So I'm not too worried about that right now. My main concern is that I complete this war so I have time to rebuild my army and focus more on my Navy so I can start dealing with taking some territory in the South Pacific. Or maybe we just continue to focus on this here and we just don't even worry about the U.S. Hopefully we can stay out of that war as long as possible. But I'm building the Navy for a reason, so we'll get there. Let me know your thoughts. Use the comment section below. And please drop a like. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And there's a live stream coming up in the next couple of days. Saturday and Sunday I'll be live streaming. If you're a patron, you can go over to Patreon and let me know what your thoughts are. There's a poll question there. If not, just let me know in the comment section here below what you'd like to see me live stream this weekend. Thanks for watching.